So hello everybody. I was going to go live, but I decided not to because I think what I'm going to do are mini little videos to kind of help you guys start to understand what you're looking at on your scans. So today I'm just going to talk a little bit about the minerals and everything that's coming up, and particularly what I look for. When I'm looking at people's scans, the first thing I really look for is what the minerals and the amino acids are doing. And even vitamins, because that kind of gives me an idea of what is going on inside that person, especially with their gut. If I see a lot of amino acids coming up and minerals coming up, I'm already kind of thinking like, leaky gut, what's the gut function like? Are they able to absorb any of the nutrients? Because a lot of times what happens with people, I'm just going to use an example with like vitamin D. I'll get quite a few people who have super duper low vitamin D, like in the 20s and the 10s. Really, you want to be anything lower than 30 is going to trigger or signify leaky gut. So when I see a lot of that, I'll typically put people on some type of gut healing program, and then their vitamin D will go from, like 22 to 60, or I've had people, in like 1 or 2 months jump back up into the 80s, which is actually really good. Should be a little higher than that, but so again, healing the gut, doing some type of gut protocol is pretty important, because again, if you're taking all this stuff and your gut is not well, you're basically just not absorbing any of it, or, pissing it out. Small intestine's not absorbing any of these nutrients. So that's why I like to look at the minerals and amino acids and vitamins. That's kind of like my start. Gives me a picture of kind of where I need to look at. Obviously, calcium is important. We all need magnesium, phosphorus, sodium, potassium. When I see issues with them, those kind of already alert me if like there's something going on with the kidneys or the adrenals, possibly pH, because a lot of that regulates our pH, whether or not we're too acidic or too alkaline. Iron, you can obviously tell if someone has too much iron or not enough iron. Iodine is a hot topic. A lot of people with thyroid issues have a lack of iodine. Most people I've worked with have super duper low iodine. But again, you kind of have to like muscle test or do some more like lab testing to kind of see what is going on. When you have autoimmune disease, you kind of want to watch with taking iodine, because for some people that can actually make that worse and flare. So you just don't want to be going and giving people iodine, okay? Fluoride, fluorine is definitely a problem too. We don't want to have that in our system, because that could affect the pineal gland, and pineal gland secretes melatonin. So a lot of times people will have to decalcify their pineal gland because of the fluoride that hardens in there. Zinc is definitely an issue too. Most people are zinc deficient. So kind of those are the ones that I kind of look at, pretty quickly and briefly to kind of give me an idea of what is going on with someone, whether or not we need to start with the gut, maybe scan the gut, look at the gut. How is the gut assimilating, taking in some of these nutrients or not? There's also another thing that happens with the minerals is heavy metals. So there's a lot of heavy metals that can actually displace the minerals. So like a common one is mercury. Mercury will commonly displace selenium. So it's important, especially with thyroid issues, autoimmune issues, that people are getting enough selenium in. Again, we already talked about how some of these will kind of alert me to what the kidneys are doing, what the adrenals are doing. If you have a lot of acid in the body, that can actually displace sodium and potassium and then magnesium. So that you can then look into what is someone's pH doing. Are they too acidic? Are they too alkaline? Obviously, we don't want acidity in the system, because that leads to disease. Some other things, let's see. Minerals are super duper important too, because they are basically the building blocks of our cells. So again, when I'm looking at trying to help people get better, if the basic building block of the cell is not well, it doesn't really matter what else you do. So you need to get the cell functioning. It needs to spark, it needs to fire, it needs to be a very healthy cell. And we do that through food, nutrition, acid, alkaline, and making sure we're drinking tons of clean filtered water. because again, our cells need water to conduct electricity. So if you're dehydrated, those cells aren't going to fire that well. We need lots of fluids, not lots of water to stay hydrated for these cells to work. Those are our basic cellular functions, our basic building blocks. We already talked about how heavy metals can displace minerals. We briefly touched on selenium. Zinc, that is a copper antagonist. So sometimes eating large amounts can lead to a copper deficiency. So again, if maybe you're seeing copper come up, you might want to think about that. Also too, if you're not getting enough copper, that can actually lead to iron deficiency anemia. So those are kind of just some of the things I look at quickly. Again, there is a vitamin and mineral chart in the AO Scan online course. So if you'd like to sit down and look at each individual mineral, you can do that, see, what it's important for, what you need, foods you need to get it from. That's referenced in there too. So hopefully this helps. I'll break down another section on another day. And if anyone has any questions or topics they want to talk about, just feel free to message me and let me know.